Every month, a bill arrives in your mailbox or inbox. You glance at the total, sigh at the rising costs, and pay it without question. We've been conditioned to believe in the absolute accuracy of these systems. Convenience has become a veil that hides systemic financial leakage in our homes. But what if I told you that between 5 and 15% of your annual utility budget is simply being thrown away due to billing errors? The scale of this issue is staggering. Audit data reveals that nearly 30% of all utility customers are currently facing significant billing inaccuracies. In certain high-density regions, consumer complaints regarding overcharging have reached an unprecedented 89%, suggesting a complete breakdown in billing integrity and oversight. The transition from mechanical to digital systems was supposed to increase precision, yet software glitches often lead to phantom charges that are difficult to trace. Deep within corporate billing architectures, broken algorithms and outdated database links create a ripple effect of errors that end up on your monthly statement. The sheer volume of paperwork and the complexity of the data act as a barrier, discouraging the average consumer from even attempting an audit. This confusion creates a culture of fear, where families hesitate to use basic necessities because they cannot predict or understand the resulting financial impact. Utility companies often bury critical information under layers of technical jargon and fine print that require a legal degree to fully decipher and challenge. When you try to break down the charges, you're met with cryptic codes and delivery fees that seem to fluctuate without any clear or logical explanation. Even though consumers have legal protections, the power dynamic is heavily skewed. It often feels like fighting a giant with no weapons in hand. One of the most common pitfalls is estimated billing, where companies charge you based on what they think you used, rather than the actual data. These estimates are frequently based on historical averages that don't account for changes in your lifestyle, leading to massive overcharges that take months to correct. You have the right to dispute these estimates. It is a fundamental consumer protection that many utility providers hope you simply forget or ignore entirely. Start by taking regular photos of your meter. This simple act of documentation creates a verifiable trail of evidence that the utility company cannot easily dispute. By scrutinizing the connection between the lines entering your property and the numbers on your bill, you begin to reclaim control over your financial life. For many, it feels like a hostage situation. You need the power, the water, and the heat, so you pay whatever they demand to stay connected. Some errors are so egregious they show zero usage followed by a massive surge, catching consumers in a financial trap they didn't see coming. Customer service representatives are often trained to deflect and deny, making the process of requesting an investigation feel like a dead end. However, hiring an independent inspector to verify your wiring and meter can provide the technical proof needed to force a billing correction and refund. Market volatility can also be used as a scapegoat. When energy prices peak, billing errors often increase, hidden under the guise of higher market rates. Over years, these small, uncorrected errors can snowball into a $100,000 disaster for businesses and a life-altering debt for residential homeowners. The moment of realization is often shocking. Many discover they've been paying for a neighbor's usage or for services that were never actually rendered. Remember this fundamental truth: you cannot manage what you cannot measure. Knowledge of your consumption is your strongest defense against corporate overreach. Start today by auditing your latest bill. Use a highlighter to mark any line item that doesn't make immediate sense to you. Compare your meter readings with the values reported on your statement. Any discrepancy, no matter how small, is a valid reason for a formal inquiry. Don't be afraid to submit a formal complaint. It is the first step toward reclaiming your money and holding these massive corporations accountable. You are no longer a passive observer of your expenses. You are an informed consumer, ready to protect your financial future. Take action now. Take a moment to examine your commercial electricity bill carefully. You might notice a significant portion of the total cost comes from demand charges. These charges represent the utility's cost to maintain the infrastructure necessary to meet your peak power needs at any given moment during the month. Look at this daily consumption graph. Even if your average energy use is low, a single 15-minute spike can drastically increase your entire bill. This brief period of high intensity forces the utility to reserve extra capacity, and you are billed for that potential, not just actual usage. Imagine a factory floor where heavy machinery starts up simultaneously. This surge in power requirements pushes the local electrical grid to its limits. As the equipment draws more current, the system registers a massive increase in demand, often hitting the red zone on the facility's power meter. This peak demand acts like a lock. Once you hit a high threshold, like 800 kilowatts, that rate is often fixed for months. Even if your usage drops significantly the next day, you remain financially committed to that peak capacity for the duration of the billing cycle. Beyond demand, we must consider the invisible waste known as power factor. This measures how effectively your facility converts incoming power into useful work. A motor with a low power factor operates inefficiently, vibrating and generating excess heat, which wastes energy and adds unnecessary strain to your equipment. In a perfect system, voltage and current waves move in perfect synchronization. This alignment ensures that every bit of electricity provided is being utilized. However, inductive loads like motors cause these waves to shift out of sync. This creates reactive power, which travels through lines without doing work. You can often hear this inefficiency as a deep hum coming from large industrial transformers. It's the sound of electricity being wasted as heat. Utilities often penalize businesses for low power factors because reactive power clogs the grid, forcing them to provide more electricity than your machines use. This electrical noise doesn't just cost money. It can cause sensitive laboratory equipment or advanced electronics to malfunction or show critical error codes. When internal disturbances like voltage sags occur, productivity stops. Protecting your facility requires managing both demand and the quality of your power supply. To solve this, many businesses install modern capacitor banks. These systems correct the power factor locally, reducing the strain on the utility's incoming lines. A well-maintained electrical room is the heart of an efficient business. It ensures that every dollar spent on energy is translated into productive output. Sophisticated facility managers now use digital power monitors to track these disturbances in real time, catching issues before they lead to expensive equipment failures. These monitors provide visual data on complex waveforms, allowing for precision adjustments that can save a company thousands of dollars every single year. However, efficiency isn't just about internal management. Macroeconomic factors are driving energy costs higher across the entire country at an alarming rate. As utilities struggle to upgrade aging infrastructure, many states are facing pending rate hikes that will impact commercial and industrial customers the hardest. The massive expansion of data centers and AI-driven facilities is placing unprecedented demand on our existing power grid, driving up prices for everyone. These facilities operate 24/7, consuming vast amounts of electricity and forcing utilities to invest in costly new generation and transmission projects. Grid modernization is a multi-billion-dollar reality. Substation construction and power line upgrades are necessary, but the costs are passed down to you. These modernization costs appear on your bill as additional fees and higher base rates, making energy management more critical now than ever before. Successful business owners understand that energy is not a fixed cost, but a variable that can be controlled through strategic planning and technology. By addressing demand charges and power factor efficiency, you can protect your bottom line against the rising tide of external market threats. The future of industry is powered by intelligence. AI servers and automation are transforming how we work, but they require a stable, efficient grid. Every motor and machine in your facility is a potential source of savings. Optimizing their performance is the first step toward energy independence. Stop letting invisible inefficiencies drain your profits. It is time to turn those high energy bills into a memory of the past. The power is in your hands to manage your demand, optimize your infrastructure, and ultimately control your business's financial future. Take charge of your energy strategy today, because in the world of commercial industry, efficiency is the ultimate competitive advantage.
The illusion of accuracy is the greatest weapon utility companies wield against consumers. For decades, businesses and homeowners alike have been conditioned to view their utility bills as fixed, unquestionable expenses rather than dynamic, negotiable invoices. This blind trust is a massive financial vulnerability. Without precise, independently verified utility data, it is exactly like navigating an airplane in dense fog. You are flying blind, trusting instruments that are frequently broken or actively calibrated against your favor. The staggering reality is that nearly 30% of clients face significant billing errors annually, and this trend is only continuing to increase. Before you challenge your energy usage, you must understand the sheer volume of obscure, hidden charges that are quietly inflating your monthly costs. Your bill is likely riddled with unreviewed legacy rate schedules, meter multiplier errors, and automatic contract renewals at higher punitive rates. You might also be hemorrhaging money through missed utility rebates, incorrect tax exemptions, and blatant sales tax errors. A widespread myth is that regulatory recovery fees are direct government taxes mandated by law. This is entirely incorrect. They are simply fees imposed by the service provider to recover their own operational costs. The utility is making you pay for their business. Consider a documented case study. A commercial customer began repeatedly receiving zero consumption readings on their natural gas bill. The utility company adamantly insisted the readings were correct. It took an independent review to identify the culprit, a completely broken meter. Throughout this period, the customer was trapped in billing purgatory, receiving invoices populated with incorrect readings and wild estimates. The utility's bureaucratic delay forced the customer to carry their entire energy variance from one contract year into the next. Because the customer had a positive variance, they were mandated to sell their unused excess energy back to the market at a loss. This simple equipment failure, compounded by utility negligence, resulted in a staggering financial setback that reached up to $100,000. This is why you must move from being a passive victim to an aggressive advocate for your own finances. You must meticulously calculate your true monthly spend by listing every single line item on your bill and tracking recurring charges. When you call to challenge your provider, remember that frontline representatives operate from scripts. They have incredibly limited authority. You must call with a prepared script of your own, armed with your payment history and documentation of errors. What do you do when the utility company refuses to work with you? This is when you deploy the ultimate weapon, your state utility regulator. These powerful state agencies possess the authority to investigate complaints and legally order utilities to take immediate corrective action. Filing a formal complaint is free, and it frequently resolves issues that months of agonizing phone calls to customer service could not fix. When a regulator contacts the utility, low-level representatives are bypassed, and compliance and legal teams are forced to get involved. To file a successful complaint, document everything: account numbers, bills, disconnection notices, and every piece of written correspondence. Create a comprehensive timeline of events, noting dates, a summary of discussions, and the names of representatives you spoke with. Under the jurisdiction of the Illinois Commerce Commission, utilities are prohibited from disconnecting your service while a complaint investigation is pending. In Florida, disconnection is also prohibited while an informal complaint is actively pending with their Public Service Commission. The aftermath is usually swift. A consumer counselor will contact the utility, launching the official investigation. The era of treating your utility bill as an unchallengeable fixed cost is over. Energy security and cost management are defining factors today.
To permanently stop the financial bleeding caused by your utility bills, you must shift your approach from defensive reaction to proactive, strategic management. The greatest vulnerability in both residential and industrial energy management is the internal blind spot regarding who actually reviews the utility data. In most commercial facilities, accounting teams are incredibly efficient at managing payments and ensuring that invoices are cleared on time to avoid late fees. However, these dedicated accounting professionals are typically not trained to dissect complex electrical rate structures, calculate demand charges, or identify obscure power factor penalties. When a massive utility bill arrives, they simply process it as a fixed operational cost. This creates a catastrophic blind spot where a facility bleeds margin. No one with specialized energy expertise is actively scrutinizing the underlying data. You must realize that accounting for a bill is fundamentally different from auditing a bill. Hidden energy costs usually stem from routine operational patterns that go entirely unnoticed by standard administrative reviews. These thrive in environments with poor visibility. If you walk through a typical manufacturing plant, The physical manifestations of these overcharges are everywhere. You are likely paying for inefficient motors and aging equipment. You are hemorrhaging money through uncontrolled HVAC loads, lighting left on unnecessarily, and idle equipment left running during non-production hours. Every time a piece of heavy machinery idles during a peak billing hour, it directly inflates your demand charges. Continuous analysis is the only fix. To regain absolute control, you must accurately calculate your true monthly spend. Avoid the trap of focusing exclusively on the headline base rate. Create a comprehensive spreadsheet that lists every single line item. Separate base plan costs from equipment rentals, regulatory compliance fees, and local taxes. If you operate in a deregulated market, you must actively track the expiration date of your promotional pricing. To avoid devastating budget shocks, taking control also means taking control of your consumption data you cannot afford to rely on the utility company's delayed reporting or flawed estimated readings. Some forward-thinking utilities now allow customers to submit exact meter readings and verifying photographs through digital communication channels like WhatsApp. As the grid modernizes, you must aggressively advocate for smart meters. Advanced infrastructure provides real-time, interval data that allows you to monitor consumption hour by hour. Operating on a prepaid basis fundamentally changes your relationship with your electricity. It provides the flexibility to pay for exactly what you require, armed with accurate data. You must embrace the art of negotiation. You must never accept your current rate without a fight. When you call, ask for the customer retention department. These representatives possess the authority to override standard pricing and offer substantial discounts. Persistence is your greatest weapon. Different representatives have access to different deals, so it is always worth calling multiple times. For large-scale operations, the complexity of tariffs often requires third-party energy experts. They function as a powerful liaison between your facility and the utility monopoly. By partnering with specialized experts, you can redirect the massive excess dollars you were needlessly sending to the utility company straight back into your business growth. Ultimately, the macroeconomic landscape has permanently shifted. Geopolitical volatility and supply constraints mean you can no longer rely on the promise of cheap, predictable energy. The illusion of the infallible utility bill has been shattered. You have the power, the regulatory tools, and the data-driven strategies required to fight back. By scrutinizing every charge and adopting real-time monitoring, you can permanently dismantle the hidden costs. You now have the insights needed to protect your finances.
The financial landscape of energy consumption is currently undergoing a massive and highly volatile transformation. Across the country, 49 states and a staggering 65% of all electricity customers are actively facing severe electricity rate hikes. In just the coming years, electric utilities have formally requested rate increases totaling an astronomical $71.2 billion through the year 2028. Sheer scale of these increases is devastating. For example, an industrial facility in California recently experienced a brutal cost increase of over $650,000. Inaccurate utility billing data further compounds this crisis, routinely leading to additional hidden costs for customers ranging from 5% to 15% annually. Your historical energy strategy was likely built for a stable world that no longer exists. Energy security and cost optimization are now the absolute defining factors. One of the most effective methods for combating these rising costs is actively negotiating your utility and service bills. Many consumers falsely believe that their monthly invoice is a fixed, non-negotiable expense dictated by an unyielding monopoly. In deregulated markets, negotiating your bill can lead to significant monthly savings by leveraging your inherent value as a long-term customer. Losing your active patronage is a direct, measurable hit to their bottom line. It's cost-effective for a provider to cut you slack. The foundation of any successful bill negotiation is meticulous preparation. Your absolute biggest bargaining chip is your value as a reliable customer. Create a pre-negotiation checklist, including your current bill, original sign-up amount, reasons for increases, and a log of any service issues. When you make the call, use verbal communication. Immediately request to be transferred to the Customer Service Retention Department. Ask them to match the promotional offers they are currently advertising to new sign-ups. State, "I want to cancel my account. Other providers have better offers." If the initial representative refuses, ask to speak to their manager. Call back a few times over several days if your first attempt is unsuccessful. Demand the true all-in monthly price. The heavily advertised headline price is almost always a temporary promotional rate that excludes mandatory fees. Question whether you can purchase and use your own compatible equipment, such as modems or routers, to eliminate recurring rental fees. Be acutely aware of the promotional price expiry trap. A plan might automatically and silently jump from $500 to $800. If negotiations completely break down, your ultimate weapon is your state utility regulator. This shifts the entire power dynamic. In Texas, the Public Utility Commission prohibits disconnections during extreme weather. In California, utilities must offer flexible payment plans. New York law prohibits disconnections on weekends or holidays. Illinois enforces a winter moratorium on disconnections for residential heating. Ohio offers a special reconnect order for just $175. Pennsylvania and Florida offer their own strict protections and payment extensions. Look inward at your facility's operational efficiency. Internal power quality issues cost the U.S. industrial sector up to $188 billion every year. Roughly 80% of disturbances originate within the facility itself, caused by your own heavy motors and variable speed drives. By implementing advanced metering and continuous monitoring, you can address the mechanical root causes and stop paying for power you aren't using. You can no longer afford to wait passively. Treat your energy consumption not as a fixed item, but as a highly strategic, aggressively managed asset. By scrutinizing charges and optimizing internal quality, you can permanently dismantle the systemic hidden costs draining your accounts.